What happens when a late-night king suddenly vanishes from TV, not because of ratings, but because of one explosive monologue? Jimmy Kimmel has just been pulled indefinitely by ABC, and the reasons behind it are as dramatic as anything he's ever said on stage. For over 2 decades, Jimmy Kimmel Live held its ground as ABC's flagship late-night show. But overnight, the Emmy-winning host has been silenced. The network says the show will be preempted indefinitely. Translation? Kimmel is off the air, with no clear path back. Nexstar, which owns 32 ABC affiliates across the country, also announced it won't be airing his program anymore. That's not just a suspension, that's a blackout. So what triggered this? It all comes down to Kimmel's September 15th monologue. In the wake of activist Charlie Kirk's shocking death at Utah Valley University, Kimmel called out what he saw as political spin. He accused what he described as the MAGA gang of twisting the shooter's identity to score points. Those words lit the fuse. Critics say he crossed a line. Supporters argue he was just doing what late-night hosts have always done, calling out hypocrisy. But the reaction was immediate and brutal. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr slammed Kimmel's remarks as some of the sickest conduct possible. On a podcast, he even hinted at potential FCC action. Hours later, he doubled down on Fox News with Sean Hannity, praising ABC and Nexstar for yanking Kimmel and mocking what he called progressive foie gras coming from Hollywood. The message was clear: networks were under pressure, and Jimmy Kimmel was the first head on the chopping block. But to understand why this is so explosive, you need to know who Charlie Kirk was. A conservative activist, Kirk was known for his fiery debates and MAGA-aligned politics. His sudden death on September 10 stunned both sides of the political spectrum. While tributes poured in, the tragedy quickly turned into another battleground. Conservatives pointed fingers at so-called radical left networks, while progressives called for unity against gun violence. Into that storm stepped Jimmy Kimmel, and the fallout shows how dangerous it can be when comedy and politics collide. What makes this twist even stranger is that Kimmel wasn't always harsh in his tone. Just hours after Kirk's death, he posted a heartfelt Instagram message sending love to the Kirk family and calling the shooting horrible and monstrous. But his shift days later, from sympathy to sharp criticism of how the tragedy was being weaponized, is what sparked outrage and led directly to his removal. And this isn't the first time a late-night host has been forced off the air for political controversy. Remember Bill Maher's Politically Incorrect? Cancelled in 2002 after his comments about 9/11 attackers. Or more recently, Stephen Colbert, sidelined earlier this year, with Paramount cutting ties despite his Emmy win. Even then, Donald Trump gloated online, saying Colbert was out. And hinting, Jimmy Kimmel is next. That prediction may have just come true. But here's where it gets even messier. In December 2024, ABC quietly agreed to contribute $15 million to Trump's presidential foundation as part of a settlement in a defamation case. Now critics are asking, is Kimmel's suspension about community standards or political pressure tied to the most powerful figures in America? So what happens next? Nobody knows if Kimmel is coming back, or if this is the end of his 2-decade run on late-night TV. Reps for the host have stayed silent. ABC insists it's temporary, but indefinite suspensions often signal something permanent. Legal action isn't off the table either, and given the history between comedians and networks, this fight could spill far beyond the studio lights. At its core, this story isn't just about Jimmy Kimmel. It's about the future of late-night TV, and whether free speech still has a place in a polarized America. One remark may have ended a career, or it might ignite an even bigger cultural battle. So what do you think? Did Kimmel go too far, or is this a dangerous attack on free expression? Should ABC have stood by their host, or did they do the right thing by pulling him? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this story isn't over. And don't forget to subscribe, because the next twist in this saga might be bigger than anyone expects.